When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to your post-match Raw, podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3 in the Premier League from Old Trafford are Dave Hendrick and Hari Sethi. Dave, I mean, I have to say I feel a little bit giddy after that. It's a match where I think I saw something from you which was echoing at least a thought in my head if I hadn't articulated that. They've come away quite lightly there. I think it could have been 6-7 and they couldn't have complained. I know they had a couple of chances. I know Ali made a couple of big saves. But I must say, the dominance and the sort of wastefulness on 1 or 2 occasions from us, it's just different class. And as we're watching the thing wind down and our team leave the pitch, we've got Trent having the absolute crack, taking the piss out of everybody, big smiley heading him. The antidote to last week. You've got Arne Slot's name being sung. Heady days, man.
Oh, very much so. I mean, like we've gone there under Jurgen and won heavily as well. So it's important to point that out. This isn't just an Arne thing. But when we compare it to last season, and we went there twice, and to be fair, we battered them all over the pitch in both games and yet came away with a draw and a defeat. And you know, there was times in those games last year where we treated the games like a training session. We're knocking the ball around, creating a ton of chances and then making an absolute mess of it. You contrast that with today where absolutely we missed some big chances, but we were very clinical when we needed to be. And the misses came when we were already 3-0 up. Like the Mo miss where he lashes it over the bar, the Jota one that he kind of made a mess of, and the Sabo one where he should have just hit it first time.
Yeah, just toe poked it.
We were 3-0 up by then. And this is the difference. Like, we're not struggling to find that first goal. And the big difference so far between this season and last season, for me, has been how much more solid we look defensively. I think Ibu's been absolutely incredible the last 2.5 games since he was brought on against Ipswich. And by not conceding early goals, we're no longer playing from behind and playing against teams that now have something to cling on to. Like United were, I thought, quite defensive first half, but they were still looking to go and find themselves a goal. They hadn't parked up the bus just yet. last season we were playing a lot of games where teams would score against us early and then they would park the bus and we just couldn't find ways to break them down. And that made it much harder on our strikers. And it's why part of why they came in for so much criticism is that we were getting desperate for goals. We always needed 2 goals to win a game. Whereas this time around, we're more controlled, we're stronger defensively, we're getting that first goal. And then that's putting us in positions of control where the opposition now have to open up. Even if it's not necessarily what they want to do, they know they have to go and find something to rescue a point. By doing that, they're leaving gaps for us to play into, and we're taking advantage of it. And I thought today, Arne made one tweak in the midfield, and I thought our midfield looked a completely different animal to what we saw against Brentford. And I know a lot of people were praising the midfield performance against Brentford, but we were missing central progression. We weren't able to progress the ball through the middle of our midfield. We weren't finding Sabo in space. We weren't finding Diaz coming in off the wing into space. Today, he plays Alexis as the 6, that bit deeper, and gives Gravenberch that freedom to go and hunt the ball and play further up and be more aggressive. And I thought we saw by a country mile the best 45 minutes that Ryan Gravenberch has put forward on Liverpool's shirt in the first half. He was okay in the second half. Some really good defensive moments, not as impactful on the ball or high up the pitch. But you could see as well he'd put in a massive shift first half. So he was starting to tire a little bit, but still didn't make any big mistakes, didn't let us down in any way. But Alexis in that second half then starts to control things a bit more, starts to get on the ball between defence and midfield and their midfield, and pick the ball through into Sabo, into Graf, into Diaz. And now all of a sudden our lads are turning and moving into space against a retreating defence, and they're at sixes and sevens, and we're able to find Mo and find Jota, and when he came on, find Darwin. Not that he was able to do a whole lot, but I just thought that little tweak in midfield of Grav and Alexis basically swapping roles a little bit, I thought it got the best performances of both this season, and it completely exposed the massive flaw in their midfield, which is that there's no structure to it. They've just got lads whose tactical advice before the game is, just go out and run around, lads. Just go out and run around and fill gaps. There's no positional structure to them. There's no tactical structure to them. And we exploited that over and over and over again. And it was very clear that we had picked Casemiro as a significant weakness in their team, that he dawdles on the ball, he meanders into positions. He's not the player he once was, obviously. And you see with the 2 first goals, we allow him time and space and he just picks the wrong pass. Gravenberch eats it up and we're away. The second one, Diaz comes back in because he's meandering. He's not looking to release it. Diaz nicks it off and he falls on the floor. And we just exposed that big weakness in them. And there's so much of it had to do with that little change that Arne made, which I didn't see a lot of people talking about first half. But when you look at how the players were playing and where they're playing, it was very clear Alexis had been given that deeper role and Gravenberch was been allowed more freedom to use that athleticism, use that speed he has and that power he has. And I don't know what the Premier League rules are, but I assume now he gets to keep Kobbie Mainoo in his house for the entirety of the international break, which is just fantastic, you know?
Yeah, he rotates amongst the midfield, I think, over the 2 weeks. 3 nights in one house and 3 nights in the next. It's just giddy-making stuff, really. And Harry, to bring you in, I think I saw you involved in a conversation online. I could be wrong here, but I think you were echoing a sentiment that I was kind of hanging on to as a dear hope for this match, which was the idea that, you know, this is a new era, and what we've seen of slot football so far, there is a control to it. There is not that maybe joyous carefree abandon that a lot of people embraced in the Klopp era. And, you know, you were kind of hoping that as a result of that, we might be able to be a little bit more clinical. And I think we'd all embrace clinical with a heart and a half if it ends up with clean sheets and wins. this is better than my wildest dreams going into it. The control was almost total. We did cough up a few good opportunities. I will say that. We were reliant on Ali a couple of times. I will say that, and a couple of good moments of defending from some of our players. But overall, that is what more or less transpired. The game was largely run by Liverpool doing what they wanted to do and imposing their plan. As Dave said, the United plan wasn't evident. Would you agree with that, or have you a different take?
Yeah, no, completely agreed with that. I think when I spoke with Carl Anker on the Recon show ahead of the game, we started the pod discussing that, just around, is this going to be the season where finally there's some tactical kind of coherence and it's obvious what Ten Hag is trying to do? Because we were talking about the space between some of the questions he gets asked in his press conferences and his answers to those questions, and then what people can physically see with their eyes when they're watching the football. And I think we saw probably maybe 8 to 10 minutes of it, if we're being generous, in terms of sort of maybe what he's trying to do a little bit in terms of the shape and the compactness at the start. But very quickly, I think we wrestled away control of that game from them, I thought. And it reminded me, and I'm not trying to pile on pressure here to this team or to Arne Slot, but it reminded me towards the end, actually, of plenty of games in the title-winning season where, you get to 60, 65 minutes, the game is done. The outcome is clear. Liverpool are going to win. And, the players aren't putting in as much effort as they were in the previous stages of the game. We can talk about some of the more casual finishing or passing that we may have seen in that final chunk of the game. But it's sort of more acceptable to do it in that context when you've got that lead, when you've got that grip on the throat, really, of the other team. Now, I remember having conversations with rival fans that season when we did win the league that, you look a little bit shaky, at the end of games, and having to explain to people that, well, actually, most of the time that's by design. These players don't want to burn themselves out. They're taking it a little bit easier. You're seeing subs come on, youngsters come in. Yes, maybe they could have been more ruthless and really, really hammered home that advantage. And at times I was a bit disappointed by that, and the chance to go top of the league and really sort of stamp our authority over City in that instance, just with the goal difference, would have been great. But yeah, I think when we think of the games last season, I was saying before this match that I keep a fairly cool head. I mean, Trevor, I'm on these raw pods with you and Dave, and like most of the time, I like to think I keep a fairly cool head. But those United games last season at Old Trafford, lesser for the one at Anfield, but the ones at Old Trafford, that's probably as angry as I've gotten at that team. Of course, what happened afterwards would decide really, one win in 5, and that was the beginning of the end for this challenge. But I got so annoyed by the complacency and so annoyed about them playing with your food that I thought you saw in those games, and we got punished for it because I thought defensively we weren't solid, we weren't professional enough about it. And I think that's the joy so far from these 3 games. Different challenges, different levels. There'll be tougher challenges ahead, but it looks like the team are really well drilled, really well prepared for what they're going to come up against. And even when they are perhaps not starting all guns blazing, the adjustments that we're making are clever ones. And I think if this is these are the tweaks we're going to make to get the most out of some of these players, and we've seen Diaz and a couple others simplify their games and become more effective. I think if we can get all these footballers being their most effective selves rather than maybe their most extravagant selves, we could be in for a really, really, really fun season.
I'd be all for making exactly the same substitutions at exactly the same times with exactly the same players. With us 2 or 3-0 up all the way through the season. It's tremendous stuff. Let's address the elephant in the room first, because a lot of people will be listening to this as soon as it comes out, and they'll be possibly heavy-hearted in the wake of whatever their algorithm is feeding up to them about what Mo Salah said afterwards. You're in possession of the quotes there, and I think we're both, and I think Dave as well, and Guy are in of a different opinion to an awful lot of the doom and pessimism that's going around. I think we're of the opinion that Mo has come out here and more or less played a blinder for himself. Will you just inform folks what it was that he said?
So I think that the first couple of things that were reported was that he basically said, as you know, this is my last year at the club. It's subsequently kind of emerged that the quote is more along the lines of, and maybe he said more than this as well, but he definitely said, coming into this game, I was thinking it could be my last time here at Old Trafford. It's not up to me, the contract, but nobody from the club came to me so far. And if you think about where we are, he's had a phenomenal start to the season. He's proving that yes, his game may be different now, but he's just as effective and just as integral to this club and how we attack and how we kill teams off as he's ever been. There's about to be a nice little break for a couple of weeks where there's, I'm sure the comms team are going to appreciate this, appreciate these comments. But to me, that's a smart operator using the leverage that he has after a particularly good moment for him to put some pressure onto the club to start negotiations. To me, it does say that he's happy at the club. And Trev, if we're honest, he's almost saying, he was looking around Old Trafford and going, no, surely not. I can't be. I've got to have more times here, surely.
Exactly that. Exactly that. He wants to have more fun. And Dave, give you a word on this as well. I'm actually watching his face as he's saying these things, and he is quite deadpan. The expression could be misinterpreted and stuff like that. But I mean, what else would you expect this lad to say? I have to say, I'm getting a great kick out of the fact that he may have out-businessed our guru in terms of kind of almost having the club's pants down here in front of the world, saying hey, nobody's actually spoken to me about a contract yet. I mean, that sounds fucking insane. And yet that is exactly what he said. Lewis Steele saying that at one stage, he added that no one at the club has spoken to him about a new contract. That will probably send some people off into a wild spiral of FSG out. But I think, it does sound like, to me, it seems as if it's exactly what Harry's saying there. It's a bit of leverage by Mo because he's so happy. You can tell the guy is happy. Watch him in training, watch him during matches now. His demeanour is completely different than it was last year. So this is not a guy who wants to go.
No, Mo's looked miserable for the last 2 years, and now he looks filled with joy most of the time. So there's a couple of things here now. So number one, aggregators on Twitter are like a cancer on society, because what they all do is they take the most scandalous line of what he said. As you know, this is my last season at the club. And they run with that. What are your thoughts on this? All farming engagement. Rather than, and all of them are verified on social media as well, so they could fit his entire quote into a tweet, but that doesn't get them the reaction that they're looking for.
Exactly.
So all of them should be ashamed of themselves. I've seen at least 3 use that line and ignore everything else he said. So a couple of things here. Number one, what I took from it was Mo is basically saying to the club, put the contract in front of me and I will sign it.
Yeah.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Number 2, just because nobody from the club has spoken to Mo about a new contract doesn't mean the contract talks aren't ongoing. Yeah. Mo has an agent.
Famously.
Very famously, who handles a lot of this stuff for Mo. So Mo is saying nobody from the club has come to me with a contract yet. They haven't said nobody has spoken to my team about a contract yet. So it may well be that there's been some early talks between the club and Rami, but we won't know about that for now. But it definitely seemed to me like Mo was saying, if they put a contract in front of me, I'm ready to sign it. That is not a fella who's ready to leave. That is not a fella who's looking to go to Saudi.
No.
And I have to believe that at some point early in the summer or at the end of last season, when Edwards and Hughes and co were coming in the door, or before that with Mike Gordon overseeing things, somebody has had a quick 2-minute chat with Mo and said, look, Mo, would you be interested in renewing your contract? And I would be almost certain he has said yes, because if not, why wouldn't we have tried to sell him in the summer?
Yeah.
We easily could have found a buyer for him in the summer, whether it was Paris Saint-Germain, who lost Mbappe, had a glaring need for, a primary attacker, would be willing to spend the kind of money on Mo to bring him in as their marquee forward, because they know that there's a lot of embarrassment that they're facing because of the whole Mbappe thing, with how much they bought him for, how much they paid him over the term of his contract, didn't win the Champions League, which is what him and Neymar were brought to do. So they know that they've just been laughed at because Mbappe ends up leaving on a free, having basically been given free rein to run the club for a couple of years. They would have bought him. The Saudis would fall over themselves to give us the money for him. Last summer, they were offering 150 million for him. They easily would have come back in, maybe not at that price point, but at 100 million for him. It's Mo Salah. He's the biggest sporting name in the Arab world. He's probably the most famous Muslim in the world. He would be the crown jewel of the Saudi Pro League. And we didn't entertain any of it. I believe that at least a small conversation was had with him, with Virgil, and with Trent. Are you interested in signing a new contract? Yes, I am. Okay, cool. Leave it with us and we'll get back to you. Mm. It's notable. Virgil has said the same thing, remember, that I haven't had an offer from the club yet. So it's notable that we haven't hit that point of where the work is going in between Hughes and Edwards. It was very clear they were trying to get stuff done during the transfer window. They failed to get that stuff done. They got Chiesa, which is great. They got Mamardashvili, which is going to be great long term. But they were aiming for 2 other things. They failed to get either of them done, but they were trying to get those done. They were also trying to move players out, trying to sort loans for young players. There was a lot to do. There was also hiring a new manager, hiring a new staff, rebuilding the medical staff, rebuilding the analytics staff, rebuilding the match analysts. All that stuff had to be done. So it was very clear that the contracts were put behind a lot of that stuff because it didn't need to be done in July or August. It can be done in September, October, November. As long as they have names on contracts before January 1st, we're good. So people need to stop getting so panicked about that. But for me, what I took from what Mo said was, if they put the right offer in front of me, I'm signing it and I'm staying. So I'm not going to get all wobbly like people seem to be at the moment over these things.
No, I think that's the only way to interpret it. Again, it's just reading between the lines. There's one thing I want to mention here. I think we've actually, as a unit here on the show, we may have taken our eye off the ball because we're always talking about the records. Now, you two guys may have mentioned on other shows, so forgive me if you have. We're always talking about the records and could Rushy be caught? He can't really be caught. But Mo is currently 10th in the all-time Premier League top scorers with 160. If he gets 3 more, he moves past Robbie Fowler into 8th. If he gets 15 more, he moves past Thierry Henry. Sorry, 16 more. He moves past Thierry Henry into 6th, or 7th, actually. If he gets 48 goals more over his Liverpool career, he's into 3rd place, which alongside Wayne Rooney. And Alan Shearer has 260 Premier League goals. Are we really saying that Mo Salah couldn't attain that if he got a 3 to 4 year contract? I think that might be what he's thinking about. I know. I think he's very, very driven by these things. Mm-hmm. He is hugely driven. He's a hugely egotistical human being because that's what you have to be in those ways. Not in an offensive way. He seems to carry it off well, but we know he thinks he's good enough to do these things, and he has a high opinion of himself, and he will be chasing that kind of history making for himself, because at the end of the day, being the biggest scorer in the Premier League is probably got a bit more cachet than being Liverpool's greatest ever scorer, even though there's a difference. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think you only have to look at those interviews that he did in the lead up to this game. Actually, I think there was the Men in Blazers one, there was the Sky Sports one as well, and
yes,
both of them were basically him saying, "Look, I dedicate every aspect of my life to football. Like everything I do is to make myself a better footballer. Yes, it might make me boring, but I do all these things to make myself a better footballer." He was even joking about, by the time I leave, I want people to think, okay, maybe not the greatest, maybe Stevie, is your favorite or whatever, but I want to be up there. I couldn't agree with you more. I think I've always been calm with Salah just because I felt the man's ego would not be satisfied if he's not broken a few more records. I think he wants those accolades, and he's not going to get them if he goes to Saudi. The money is there, but there's nothing else for him.
But as you were saying before we went live, Harry, like Harvard are teaching a business class on how much money Mo Salah makes. So yes, going to Saudi and earning, I don't know, $250 million a season or whatever ludicrous sum they would give him is obviously a ridiculous concept, but it's not like Mo isn't already an incredibly wealthy man. Like, the estimates between what we pay him, his bonuses, and then all the commercial deals he has, because he owns his own image rights, remember. The estimate is he's earning about $50 million a year between everything. And that we don't know what investments he has or what else he's doing.
Exactly. That tap won't dry up when he retires from football. He's going to be endlessly rich.
Of course. Between now and May, Mo Salah's going to make more than enough money for him and about 5 generations of his family to live on. Yeah. So money's not going to be a factor. Prestige will be a factor. He's not going to get that in Saudi on a global footballing scale. Records are a factor. Nobody cares if he goes to Saudi and scores 50 a season. Nobody will care. But like you say, Trev, if he does approach, like if he could get top 3 in the Premier League all time, which is very, very much within his grasp. As he said, he's 48 now behind Rooney, 53 behind Kane. The one thing that could stop him breaking Shearer's record isn't actually anything to do with him, because if we give him the time, he will do it.
Yeah.
The biggest risk would be Kane coming back from Bayern next summer and going to City, say, and he goes and does it. And that, if that happens, fair enough. But if you look at the list, right, of the players in front of Mo, so he's going to pass Jermaine Defoe and Robbie Fowler within the next couple of weeks. They're 2 and 3 ahead of him.
He's got Henry right in his sights, only 15 ahead.
Yeah, so Mo has scored, 158 league goals for us and 2 for Chelsea. So 158 league goals for us in 7 seasons and 3 games. So he's about 23, 24 a season on average. So if he's an average season, he's passing all of these people. And he's right up behind, say, Frank Lampard. He could even pass Lampard.
Yep.
And if he gets past Lampard, in front of him, you've got Aguero, Cole.
Currently 24 ahead, Aguero.
24 ahead, one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. Andy Cole, Harry Kane, Wayne Rooney, Harry Kane, and Alan Shearer. They're all number 9s. They're all number 9s. Of the list of guys in front of him, only Frank Lampard didn't play as a striker. All of the rest of them played through the middle. And I know people say, Rooney played in midfield. Maybe for 50 games. All the rest were as a 9. Lampard is the only one there who's not a striker. Lampard obviously played as largely an attacking midfielder. But Frank Lampard scored those goals in 600 and something games in the Premier League. Mo has got these goal numbers in 253 games for us and 13 for Chelsea. 266 games. His goal per game ratio is ridiculous. And you factor in that it's not just the goals that Mo is probably looking at and thinking, I could have a go at winning that. There's no reason I couldn't. He's also got the potential to get himself top 10 in assists.
Has he, though? I'm trying to look at these lists here.
70 assists so far.
Okay, Beckham's on 80 and 10.
Beckham's on 80. Beckham is catchable. He's got 3 in 3 games this season. Beckham is catchable.
Jimbo Milner's 9th on 89.
That's the thing. There's no reason if Mo was... Let's say Mo was given a 3-year contract off the back of this, which I think would be absolutely fine. I don't think there's any risk involved. Maybe we see decline in year 3. Maybe you have to alter things a little bit, but
maybe he goes in to become a goal hanger like Cristiano and ends up getting more goals. This is
exactly the thing. And this is why I said to you 2 years ago when we were talking about his last contract extension, I genuinely think if he stayed long enough, he could break Rushy's record, is because there is that opportunity for him to move more centrally and become the way Cristiano was, where he's getting 25 to 30 goals a season. Cristiano was doing that in top leagues at 36, 37.
Yeah.
There's and Mo's a better finisher than him. Without question, Mo's a better finisher than him. He just has a wider range of goals because he shoots 8 times a game and Mo shoots 4 or 5 times a game. But there's no reason Mo couldn't finish this season, top 6 in goals, top 10 in assists. And the only other people that would be in the conversation then is someone like Lampard, who's currently 6th in goals and 5th in assists. There's no reason Mo couldn't be, in 2-3 years, Mo couldn't be, let's say, number 3 in goals and let's be realistic, it could be number 6 in assists. That's 10 assists a season. There's no reason he couldn't do that. He'll never catch Giggs at 162 assists.
Nobody's catching that.
But Giggs played 20 years.
Yeah.
But everything else is there for him. I think he wants to stay. And I think if push comes to shove, even if the offer, if he thinks it's a little bit below what he's worth, I think he would stay, because I think he knows that the prestige of, as we've said, breaking Premier League records, being on these all-time lists, is worth far more to him than the riches that await in Saudi Arabia from a legacy point of view.
Of course, it's not even a conversation for a fella like Mo Salah, who's so proud of what he's done and what he's achieved and what he's capable of doing. I hope that conversation has lifted people's spirits a bit, because I do see an awful lot of people have gone straight to the gloom and doom. I don't think there's any reason for that at all. And if we're wrong, we're wrong, but I don't think that that's the case. And we need to kind of push along a bit. The Liverpool team is the Liverpool team. Nobody was even vaguely surprised. This guy, not only does he pick the same team every week, but he puts on the same subs at the same time every week. It's a remarkable thing that we're watching currently, and I don't think anyone was even vaguely surprised at that. And so I don't know if it warrants a whole lot of discussion. If anyone has a point they want to make about it, please bring it up, of course. But Harry, of course, I listened to yourself and Carl have a natter about this game in advance, and I'm wildly curious to hear United fans. I even went in just to sort of have a poke around my father's attitudes during the week, but he's kind of always pessimistic. He's always, ridiculously so, especially even when United were winning everything all left, right, and centre. He was always trying to find the negative. That's just my dad. So I didn't get anything out of that conversation. But I did sense some hope in the other United fans that I spoke to. And I think it was there for Carl too. Like, I mean, probably buoyed up by a few signings and stuff like that, and the potential for some of the kids. Like, I'm very, very impressed with what I've seen from Amad Diallo, for example. And maybe they're thinking, okay, if we get Ugarte in and maybe alongside Mainu, although most of us think that doesn't seem like it's going to work. I don't know. I got the impression that most of the people I spoke to who were United fans were actually really looking forward to this game and thought it was an opportunity for them to really launch their season. Based on your chat, do you think you saw what your guest was expecting, what you were expecting? What did you make of United today? And just for the benefit of those who didn't actually see the game, they lined up with Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez and Dalot, Casemiro and Mainu, Garnacho, Fernandes, Xerxes and Rashford, which is a strong side, I think we can agree in many ways. On their bench, they had probably slim enough pickings, if we're being honest. And this is where it starts to look a bit dodgy for United, because, of course, they have the highly impressive youngster who came on, Amad Diallo. But then they have Collier as well, who's highly rated, came on to replace Casemiro. Eriksen's there, who's obviously a tremendous footballer. Maguire, Heaton, Wheatley, Anthony were starting to drop off in quality. What was your take on how United went today in comparison to how you were expecting them to go on the back of your chat?
Yeah, I think similar to what we mentioned about Arne Slot and the consistency of his team selection so far this season. I think just because of the options that you just mentioned there on the subs bench, there wasn't really too much for Ten Hag to consider, to be honest. There's obviously, I think before the game they paraded Manuel Ugarte to the crowd. I think if anybody ever doubted why they've signed him, and you can argue about how logical this is in terms of sort of the players and their comparative kind of profiles, but if anybody ever doubted why they'd signed this guy, I think Casemiro made it very, very clear to a lot of them with his performance in that first half for United. But because of the paucity of options, some players still out. I think Højlund's still out and a couple others. I don't think there's too many surprises in this, to be honest. I think even when you look at maybe De Ligt coming in for his first start, there's not really any other option you'd want there. You don't really want to play Maguire. Evans is still, I'm assuming, just furious that he's actually being expected to play, and you very much signed that contract that he could join sort of a bit of a coaching role, an Adrian kind of contract, and unfortunately he's had to play far many more games than he was probably expecting when he did rejoin the club. But yeah, no great surprises there. And with Mason Mount out as well, I think that was one thing that I found quite surprising, actually, speaking not just to Carl, but to seeing some other United fans chat about their perceived importance of Mason Mount. And Carl was trying to basically talk about how the questions he has around this side and Ten Hag this season is around the tactical approach and what they should be expecting to see, because United are this open by design. If you listen to sort of what Ten Hag says, you spoke a lot last season about wanting them to make them the best transition team in the world, and then try to row back on that later in the season and just talk about the attacking side of the game. And I think he wants the team to press in a more effective way. I don't think they're really capable of doing so unless they've got maybe a very specific set of players on the pitch, and maybe Ugarte is going to be one of them. Mount was certainly hyped up as being one who could enable them to do a better press than they're able to do so. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you picked up from my chat with Carl, Trev, but I've known him for a long time, but he didn't sound that confident to me.
No. Confidence would be a stretch, yeah.
No, I think he's got a lot of questions about this manager and the approach that he has said that he wants to take this team through, and it was pretty upfront about the fact that he sees it as Arsenal City in terms of maybe built to really compete for that title. He did say viewed us slightly beneath that, maybe just around, again, the paucity of signings in comparison and maybe where our squad is, perhaps. But he's after Liverpool, he said it's a pretty big drop-off to the rest of the teams, and he was hoping that United could get to the stage this season where they're the best of the rest of that group. But I think that word coherence I think is the big thing that's missing from United. I don't think the fans really believe in what they're seeing, and they're really craving some clarity of direction. And the players at times don't really, or either they don't look like they believe in it, or they slightly doubt their ability to pull it off. And when you've got the likes of Mainu, who is a very promising youngster, thrust into that team in such a significant role, like there's really a lot of pressure on that guy at such a young age. I think it tells you a lot about sort of where the team is. It does feel like he's compromising a lot, Ten Hag. So yeah, not too confident ahead of this game this season. I'm not sure how they were feeling, but I'm pretty sure a 3-0 shellacking at home is not going to make them feel any better. And it's just a shame that they've got quite a while to think about that now, Trev.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.